So queen 8 against 2.5 open, for sure calling. And the guy from bottom 3x's, and if you put a closer attention to the action, he was 3xing from the bottom before, so I'm not afraid of it. So squeezing all in is totally fine. I would do it with the standard range, as he is doing 3x, looks like as a standard. And he just decides to raise call all in with 9-5 suited, which I don't mind him doing. And we can go with a quick note that I usually do, is just that he is R1, so it's a retard. So basically he made some kind of pretty weird decision, but it happened only once. It could have been a misclick. So I'm just putting a 1 that it happened 1. And if he does it in future, I can easily change it to 2, 3, 4, 5 or whatever, and I know that this is not a coincidence, that he didn't make a misclick or he wasn't on tilt, but basically he just does random things. Queen 5 min raising. And we face a pretty wet board. King Jack 5, although we have some overcards. C-betting as a standard with a 45 sizing. 5 deuce not folding. On 10 big blinds we can easily limp and just limp C-betting. And against the raise, just folding. We've got a straight, so our opponent decides just to flat call us on the flop. So I believe with 5 or good draw he would raise. So probably most of his range are 4x's and 3x's. So if we want to get a call from these, it's cool to basically decrease the sizing and bet as small as possible. I'm gonna go with 41. Our opponent called, and right now we need to ask ourselves a question. Do we want to move all in, as there's a possibility, or we want to bet small to basically get a call from 4 and 3? I believe there are more 4s and 3s, so I'm gonna go with pretty small sizing again. To let him call a 4 or maybe turn it into a bluff from time to time. And he shows up with 7-3. So as you can see, probably he would fold to all in, and as I bet pretty small, he just called me because the sizing was pretty small. So our opponent folded twice from small blind, so against these opponents we should tighten up our calling range against the shove. Probably still I would stick to the charts. Calling with the pair, as raising wouldn't achieve much. Probably he would just fold air cards and call us with a 9 and 8. So checking is totally fine. Maybe the turn and river will bring some low cards and he decides to call. On over cards we can just go for a check. Yep. So interesting, he decided to check back pre-flop 10, so he is very passive. So for sure against his min raises and bets we should act very carefully. He limps, so I believe it's still pretty tight range, so I'm just checking. And on the turn, as I don't believe he's gonna fire light delay as he's pretty tight, we can easily go for a probe with our top pair. He might just call with some ace highs, with some gut shots, some second pairs, and on the river as well. But right now I'm gonna use bigger sizing as I think if he has a 6 or 5 he's gonna call anyway, and if he doesn't he's gonna fold. 4-5 suited. Against guys who are checking back even pocket 10s we can easily just hit the check. So board is pretty wet, so I'm gonna check again. And right now we can decide if we want to check again or bet twice. So whenever we go for a delay we need to bet twice, and I think the board is pretty wet. It has lots of gut shots and it's gonna have lots of lots of problematic rivers, so I'm gonna bet twice. And here, even if the river paired, I want to bet again, as I want to fold the 5, 8, 10 and both flush draws. So even a min bet on paired river is totally okay when there are so many misdraws. So he decides to just flat call with trips, and he limped on 6 big blinds, he's king 9, so we should play very carefully against this opponent. And he checked the flop, then he checked the turn, so yeah. With the king axis it's okay to move all in, but with suited connectors we can even go for a limp, as he will give us a chance to see the flop pretty frequently, and then he will let us see the turn and reverse super often. Click free bet, so we should never fold anything to click free bets. King deuce, we are below 6 blinds, so just moving all in with the king high. And again, such a big bet, even with the backdoor, I'm just folding. So as you can see, this guy is super passive. We win money on this guy by him folding, so we shouldn't like make any hero calls against this type of opponent. 10 jack, as a standard, it's a squeeze and then fold. And here 2 big blinds, we need to call everything. And jack 10, especially when the third player jumped in, we can add R1 as he made some call with jack 3. And later on, when we meet this opponent, we're gonna have easier decisions. Blind and a half, so we can just go with all in. We can just go with the note of that he's a nit. For sure, it will be useful in future if we meet him again. And also, you know, doing notes works very good in terms of practicing note making. It will be way easier for you to make notes in the future. Calling the click free bet. Follow into the C bet. Nine six, still gonna limp. I don't mind min raising as well, as he was isolating us and he was folding to our min raise. This is pretty small sample, but still might be good enough. So suited boards monotone boards are pretty static. So no matter the sizing you bet, your opponent gonna call you with the same cards. So whenever you have a top pair on wet board, increase the sizing even to pot size bet. And whenever you want to bet as a bluff, just click the min bet. 9-4, just limping. Okay, he isolates. 8-5 on 13 big blinds. I don't mind folding. On the right table, just betting 35 with our top pair. And 10-6, this seems to be a bottom, and as he was isolating us twice and folding to a min raise, we can pick a min raise to make a sample size how often he folds. On the right table, again, I want him to call queen axis as often as possible, so I'm betting less than half pot. And this is pretty interesting. Ace on the river doesn't hit his range at all, only ace 3 and jack 10 improved. So we can bet pretty small on the river to get calls from weaker kings and queens. Okay, he instantly calls with queen 7. So right now our opponent folded 3 out of 3, so we can easily min-raise most of the hands against him. Second pair, just calling. And again, this is interesting spot where second or third pair pairs, we can easily go for a lead if our pair is low. And actually here I don't mind betting even with 8. Probably this is at top of my betting, top of the strength of my cards. Ace 8, just hitting the flat. And against the jam we can easily fold, as the fold equity is pretty high here. We can easily fold. I don't think he'll do it with air cards, especially we have a 7 of diamonds that blocks some 6-7 flush draws. So the flop went check check, so betting is totally fine, and he instantly raises, so it actually looks like he is going with he just went with a check on the flop with a king. Still against the min raise I'm okay to call, especially we can hit the river can be a king or ace that splits if he has an ace, and yeah, he might just do it with some random cards. So queen deuce, and it's worth to notice these showdowns. He showed that he was min raising queen deuce from the bottom, so against these opponents we can easily increase the sizing and basically 3-bet shove wider. Ace 5 I decided to move all in, as the small blind is pretty shallow, so whenever 10 and 17 I treat it like on average they have about 16 blinds, so we can easily just move all in with the ace axis. 4-5 just folding, our opponent is isolating a lot. Against the min bets we can just call third pair. We can still improve and there are plenty of draws. Again min bet, still odds are great and we might just have the best hand. But against the raise it's totally okay to just fold. So here if we would have like 13 or 15 blinds, probably 3-bet shoving would be cool, but on 9 big blinds we don't have enough fold equity. But for sure he is min raising right now 4th hand in a row, and looks like he is pretty loose player. So button min raise, queen deuce suited, right? So if he min raises queen deuce suited, probably he's min raising like 50% of his range or even more. So against this range we can 3-bet shove pretty wide. Queen 6, even queen 6. So yeah, queen 7 suited, as I showed, would be a great 3-bet shove. Seven 5 just limping. And against isolation, on 16 BB plus I would definitely call, as we have implied odds, we can easily win the pot without the showdown, but on such a small stack we can just fold, because there is no possibility we're gonna win this pot in other way than hitting our outs. So poker it isn't a game where you need to hit your outs, but rather have a chance to win the pot without the showdown. And our opponent hit. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Ask questions below, and thank you very much. Good luck, have fun.